Salamun alaikum, my dear friends. May the peace, mercy, and blessings of Allah be upon you all. I pray that as you listen to these words, your heart finds the stillness it has been searching for, and your soul feels the warm embrace of divine protection. Today, we are not just telling a story. We are preparing for a journey that every single one of us is destined to take. Imagine a room. It is small, much smaller than the one you are sitting in right now. There are no windows here. There is no door to lock. The air is heavy with the scent of damp earth, and the silence is so absolute that you can hear the rhythm of your own thoughts. This is the place where titles stay at the entrance, where wealth is left in the pockets of those still standing outside, and where the only thing that enters with you is what you carried in your heart. But before we descend into this mystery, I have a small request for our growing family. If these stories touch your soul and bring you closer to the truth, please consider subscribing to our channel and joining our journey. It is a simple way to support this work and ensure that these reminders reach more hearts across the world. The Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, once spoke of a shield. Not a shield made of iron or bronze that protects the chest in battle, but a shield made of words. 30 verses of the noble Quran that stand guard when every other protector has vanished. This is the story of Surah Al-Mulk, also known as Barzakh. The scene begins on a quiet evening in Medina. The sun has dipped below the horizon, painting the desert sands in shades of violet and deep orange. Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, is sitting with his companions. The flickering light of a small lamp casts long shadows on the walls. He speaks with a voice that is soft, yet carries a weight that shakes the very foundations of the earth. He tells them about a man who lived his life with many flaws, a man who made mistakes, as we all do. But this man had a secret habit. Every night, before his head touched the pillow, he would recite 30 verses. He didn't just read them. He let them seep into his bones. He recognized that the mulk, the absolute sovereignty, belonged to no king, no empire, and no man. It belonged only to Allah, the Exalted. Now, shift your gaze. The scene changes. The lamp in Medina fades, and we are standing at the edge of a fresh grave. The crowd is dispersing, where you can hear the rhythmic thump-thump of sandals walking away on the dry ground. The sound gets fainter and fainter until the last footstep is gone. The man is now alone. The darkness is not like the darkness of a bedroom. It is a heavy, living thing. Suddenly, the atmosphere changes. 2 figures appear. Their presence is like the coming of a storm. Their eyes are like flashes of lightning, and their voices sound like the rolling of thunder. These are the angels of the grave, Munkar and Nakir. They have come to ask the questions that define eternity. They move toward the man, ready to begin the trial. But something happens, something that has never been seen in the physical world. A light, bright and unwavering, begins to glow from the man's head. It is not a physical light, but a spiritual barrier. As the angels approach from the direction of his head, a voice speaks. It is a beautiful, powerful voice, vibrating with authority. "You cannot pass this way," the voice says. The angels pause. "Who are you to stop us?" The voice replies, "I am Surah Al-Mulk. I am the 30 verses this man recited every night. He honored me in the world of the living, and today I will honor him in the world of the dead. I will not leave his side until I have argued his case before Allah. Glory be to him, the Exalted." The man lies there trembling, but the surah wraps around him like a cloak of safety. It stands between him and the punishment. It stands between him and the fear. This is the secret of the mania, the preventer. It is the surah that refuses to let its companion be harmed. Think about the silence of that moment. The angels, powerful and majestic, and the surah, divine and persistent. The trial of the grave is real, but so is the protection of the noble Quran. But why does this specific surah have such power? Why did the Messenger of Allah, peace and blessings be upon him, say that he wished it were in the heart of every believer? To understand that, we must look deeper into the first word, Tabarak. The silence in the grave is unlike any silence we know in this world. It is not the silence of a quiet night. It is the silence of an ending. But for the man lying beneath the earth, the silence is broken by a presence that feels warmer than the sun and more solid than the mountains. Surah Al-Mulk is no longer just words he once memorized. It has transformed into a living, breathing protector. The angels, Munkar and Nakir, move again. Their purpose is divine, their duty absolute. They try to approach the man from his right side, the side where his good deeds should be. But as they move, the light of the 30 verses shifts with them. It is as if the very air around the man has become a wall of golden fire. The angels' voices echo like the crashing of waves against a cliff. We are sent to question him. We are sent to see what he prepared for this day. Move aside, O word of Allah. But the surah does not move. The light pulses with a rhythmic beauty, reflecting the man's nightly devotion. He chose me, the surah speaks, and the sound is like the humming of 1,000 birds in a garden of paradise. When the world was busy with entertainment, he turned to me. When his eyes were heavy with sleep, he forced them open to look at my verses. He didn't just recite me. He let my meanings shape his heart. You shall not touch him. Let us look closely at the man's face in this moment. His eyes are closed. His shroud is white. But the fear that should be paralyzing him is being washed away. He can feel the barakah, the overflowing blessing of the word Tabarak. What does it mean to have a surah fight for you? Imagine a courtroom where you are standing alone, with no evidence to save you. Suddenly, the greatest advocate in existence walks in. This advocate knows every secret of the law, every hidden mercy of the judge. This is what Surah Al-Mulk is doing in the darkness. The angels then try to approach from his left, then from his feet. But at every turn, the surah is there. The Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, described this scene with such vivid detail that the companions would weep. And he said the surah would literally argue or dispute on behalf of its companion. O my Lord, the surah says, turning its face toward the divine throne, this man recited me every night. He believed in my truth. If you are going to punish him, then erase me from your book. But if I am truly your word, then let me be his salvation. Can you feel the weight of that statement? The surah puts its own status on the line. It refuses to be part of the noble Quran if its companion, the one who loved it, is left to suffer. This is why it is called Al-Munjiyah, the deliverer. It doesn't just watch, it intervenes. It doesn't just pray, it demands mercy. In this narrow space, the man begins to remember. He remembers the cold nights when he sat on his prayer rug, the moonlight shining through his window, as he whispered, "Blessed is he in whose hand is the dominion." He remembers how those words made him feel small, but also safe. He realizes now that every time he said, Al-Malik, the king, he was building the walls of this very fortress he is hiding in now. The angels of the grave represent the justice of Allah, but the surah represents the mercy of Allah. And in Islamic tradition, we know that Allah's mercy always prevails over His wrath. The struggle between the questioning and the protection continues. Time in the grave doesn't move like the clock on your wall. Seconds feel like years, and years can feel like seconds. The man is caught between the awe of the angels and the love of the surah. The surah looks at the angels and speaks one final time before the scene shifts. He recognized the sovereignty of Allah when He had power in the world. Why should He be powerless now? As the golden light intensifies, the narrow walls of the grave seem to push back. The heavy scent of earth is replaced by a faint, sweet aroma of musk. The mania, the preventer, is successfully holding the gates of punishment shut. But the story is not just about the defense. It is about the transformation of the grave itself. Because when Surah Al-Mulk wins the argument, the man's eternity truly begins. The golden light of the 30 verses has now filled every corner of the grave, and the argument before the divine throne has reached its conclusion. In the world of the living, we often think that our prayers disappear into the air, but in the silence of the earth, we see that not a single syllable of the noble Quran is ever lost. The angels, Munkar and Nakir, stand back. Their thunderous voices soften, and the lightning in their eyes fades into a calm, steady glow. They have received the command from Allah. Glory be to Him, the Exalted. The defense offered by Surah Al-Mulk has been accepted. You have spoken the truth, the angels say, and their voices now sound like the rustling of silk. This man is indeed a companion of the sovereignty. Sleep then, like a bridegroom, who is only awakened by the one he loves most. At that moment, a miracle begins to unfold. The man, still wrapped in his white shroud, feels the heavy, suffocating pressure of the soil vanish. The walls of the grave, those cold, damp barriers of stone and dirt, begin to move outward. They push back further and further until the man can no longer see them. The Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, described this as the grave widening for 70 cubits, but for the soul, it feels as vast as the horizon itself. Wait, look closer at the scene. This is no longer a pit. It has become a raudah, a garden from the gardens of paradise. The man breathes in. The air is no longer dusty or stale. It is cool, fragrant, and filled with a peace that does not exist on the surface of the earth. He looks toward the direction of the Qibla, and a window opens. Through this window, he is shown his place in paradise. He sees the green trees, the flowing rivers of milk and honey, and the radiant light of the eternal gardens. Is this for me? The man whispers. The surah, still glowing beside him, replies, This is the result of your nightly meetings with me. You feared the sovereignty of your Lord while you were unseen, and today, His sovereignty has become your sanctuary. This is the manifestation of the verse. Indeed, those who fear their Lord unseen will have forgiveness and great reward. The man had spent his life in the bustling streets, in the noise of the markets, and in the privacy of his home, remembering that there was a king above all kings. Now that King, al-Malik, is honoring him. But there is a specific secret to this peace that we must understand. Surah Al-Mulk is often called al-Waqiyah, the protector. It doesn't just push away the punishment, it invites the comfort. The scene shifts slightly. We see the man's body resting, but his soul is in a state of huzur, absolute presence. He is no longer afraid of the long wait until the day of resurrection. Why? Because the surah has turned his grave into a waiting room of light. Scholars tell us that the secret of Surah Al-Mulk lies in its ability to keep the soul company. In the world, we fear being alone. We keep our phones close. We seek the company of friends. We leave the lights on. But in the grave, the only true friend is the one who can follow you past the dirt. Imagine the man's heart. While he was alive, it was often filled with the anxieties of the world. Bills to pay, children to raise, health to worry about. But as he recited the verses about the birds flying in the sky, held up by nothing but the mercy of Ar-Rahman, those anxieties began to shrink. He realized that the same power holding the bird in the sky would hold him in the grave. Now, in the garden of his grave, he realizes that his nightly 4-minute recitation was the greatest investment he ever made. On every Alhamdulillah, he felt, while reading those 30 verses, has grown into a tree in his new home. The angels have left, but the surah remains. It sits at his head, a constant sentinel of light. It is as the companion, Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, may Allah be pleased with him, said, "It is the prevents the punishment of the grave." The man closes his eyes in his dreamlike state, a smile touching his spirit. He is safe. He is forgiven. He is under the dominion of the Most Merciful. But what about us? We who are still breathing, still walking on top of the earth. The story of the man in the grave is a mirror for our own lives. The garden in the grave continues to glow, but our journey must now return to the world of the living, to the world where the clock is still ticking and the air is still filling your lungs. You see, the miracle of Surah Al-Mulk is not just for the dead. It is a secret weapon for those who are still walking the earth. Imagine a man walking through a chaotic, storm-tossed city. Everyone around him is panicked, clutching their possessions, looking left and right with eyes full of fear. But this man walks with a strange, quiet confidence. He isn't wearing a physical suit of armor, yet nothing seems to pierce his soul. Why? Because every night he builds a fortress. Every night, before he surrenders to the small death of sleep, he fortifies his spirit with the 30 verses of sovereignty. The Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, said, "I wish that Surah Al-Mulk were in the heart of every believer." He didn't just want it on our tongues. He wanted it to be the very rhythm of our heartbeats. When you carry Surah Al-Mulk in your heart, the world starts to look different. You look at the powerful leaders, the massive corporations, and the mountains of wealth, and you don't feel intimidated. Why? Because you've recited, "Blessed is he in whose hand is the dominion." You know that their power is borrowed, but Allah's power is absolute. You realize that the Mulk, the true kingdom, cannot be bought with paper money or won with armies. This is the hidden sir, the secret influence of the surah in your daily life. It cures the anxiety of the future. It whispers to you when you are stressed about your provision. Who is it that can provide for you if he withholds his provision? It reminds you that the same God who feeds the birds in the sky, held up by nothing but Ar-Rahman, is the same God who holds your destiny. And the scene shifts one last time. We are back in a quiet bedroom. The lights are dimmed. The world is finally silent. You are holding the noble Quran, or perhaps you are reciting from memory. This is the critical moment. This is where the story of the grave is actually written. Not after you die, but right now. Every word you utter is a stone you are laying for your future sanctuary. Think about the Vikdan, the conscience within you. It knows that the day will come when the phone will be silenced forever. The day will come when the social media feed will stop scrolling. The day will come when you will be placed in that narrow space we discussed. But look at the beauty of Allah's mercy. He didn't just warn us about the darkness. He gave us the candle. He didn't just tell us about the trial. He gave us the answers. Surah Al-Mulk is a gift from the divine, a personal advocate that says, I will not let you go through that journey alone. The man we saw in the grave, the one who was saved by these 30 verses, that man can be you. That peace can be yours. The difference between a grave that is a pit of fire and a grave that is a garden of light is often just 4 minutes of your time each night. As you lay your head down tonight, realize that you are at a crossroads. You can choose to sleep in negligence, or you can choose to sleep under the protection of the King. The lessons of Surah Al-Mulk are clear. It teaches us that life is a test of ahsanul amala, who is best indeed. It isn't about who has the most, but who is the most sincere. In this modern world, where we are taught to rely on our own strength, this surah comes to humble us. It tells us to look at the sky, to look at the earth, and to look at our own souls. It calls us back to the reality that we are travelers, and our true home is being prepared right now. According to the authentic traditions, whoever recites this surah every night, Allah will protect him from the punishment of the grave. This is a promise. This is a divine guarantee. What a tragedy it would be to reach that grave and realize we had the key to the door the whole time, but we never turned it. What a loss it would be to face the angels alone when we could have had the noble Quran as our witness. As we reach the end of this journey, I want you to take a deep breath and feel the peace that comes with knowing Allah has provided a way out of every difficulty, even the difficulty of the grave. May Allah, glory be to Him, the Exalted, He make the noble Quran the spring of our hearts and the light of our chests. May He make Surah Al-Mulk a constant companion for us in this life and a fierce defender for us in the next. O Allah, protect us from the trials of life and the trials of death. Make our graves gardens from the gardens of paradise, and never let them be pits from the pits of the fire. Allow us to live with the consciousness of your sovereignty and die in a state of complete submission to your will. Please, my friends, do not let this be just another video you watch. Let this be the night your relationship with Surah Al-Mulk begins. Entirely free of charge, you can subscribe to our channel to continue this spiritual journey with us. And share this reminder with someone you love, because saving a soul from the fear of the grave is the greatest gift you could ever give. Until we meet again in the next story of the 99 names, I leave you in the protection of Al-Malik, the true King of all kings. Stay with peace, stay with faith, and stay with Allah.